Welcome, everyone. My name's Eloisa Ramos, and I'm here with my friend Larry. Hi, Larry.
Good morning, Eloisa.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
Sonia.
Yeah, and my daughter Sonia. Hi, Sonia.
Hi.
Okay, so we're going to continue with the study of A Course in Miracles. We're working on chapter 20 of the text, The Vision of Holiness. Last time we finished the gift of lilies, so we are on section 3, Sin as an Adjustment. Okay, I'll start with paragraph 1. The belief in sin is an adjustment, and an adjustment is a change, a shift in perception, or a belief that was so before has been made different. Every adjustment is therefore a distortion and calls upon defenses to uphold it against reality. Knowledge requires no adjustments, and in fact, is lost if any shift or change is undertaken. For this reduces it at once to mere perception, a way of looking in which certainty is lost and doubt has entered. To this impaired condition are adjustments necessary because it is not true. Who need adjust to truth, which calls on only what he is to understand. Okay. Okay, so this is a really good paragraph.
It is.
Okay, so it's distinguishing knowledge from perception. Okay, the course is a great learning tool for let's see, discerning the difference between truth and um, and perception or what we think or feel or believe or sense that truth is. Okay, because knowledge just is, but perception is like an interpretation of knowledge. And once there's interpretation, there's a loss of certainty. You know that saying, something is lost in translation, um, because there's an intermediary there that has to um, give its own personal understanding before it can translate it into the other language. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here it's talking about sin. Okay. And it refers to it as a belief. Okay. And it is a belief because a lot of spiritual practices don't believe in sin, but a lot of well, I think all of Christianity probably believes in sin. It's sort of a fundamental building block of the whole ideology or theology or doctrine. Okay, so here it's referring to sin as an adjustment, and an adjustment is a change. So once we believe in sin, we believe that we are no longer as God created us because we are now sinful, correct?
that's what it says.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so, well, I mean, I grew up believing in sin. Okay. So if I believe that I sinned, okay, then I believe that I have done something bad or wrong and that I need to either atone for my sins or be forgiven for my sins or somehow make it up to God, right? To release that sin. Because there's an idea uh, that I have somehow opposed or done something to displease God, that God would be disapproving of what I've done, that I have disobeyed God in some way. That's the idea. Okay. All right. And so so that belief says that what I do can change who I am, right? Because if I do something bad, I'm no longer good. So I've just changed myself. You see that? But I really haven't changed myself. The only thing I've changed is my evaluation of myself or the judgment of myself. Okay. All right. It's a shift in perception. An adjustment is a change. It's a shift in perception. I no longer see myself the way I saw myself before. Okay. And, perception is part of how I define myself conceptually. Um, or a belief that was so before has been made different. So, yeah, because if I believe I was good and innocent before, if I now believe that I've sinned, then I believe that I am no longer what I was before. I'm something else, guilty, you know, whatever. So, impure, all of that. Um, okay, so every adjustment is therefore a distortion and calls upon defenses to uphold it against reality. Okay, so that's the thing about beliefs. Beliefs are not at the level of knowledge. They're at the level of perception because their perception is a point of view. It's a way of looking at others, the world, ourselves. And that's what beliefs do. They're like filters that that give us a personal point of view. That's why we have different cultures and um, traditions, okay, because they're looking as a group, they're looking through these um, particular beliefs that they hold as a group, okay? All right, but knowledge, okay, does not require any adjustment. Okay, because knowledge is absolute truth. It's not based on interpretation or opinion, or it's not based on what I believe. I can change what I believe, okay, but I can't change knowledge. Knowledge is eternal, it's infinite, non-changing, because it's not based on anything that the body's eyes can see. So, so knowledge, absolute truth is spirit, and spirit has no form. And what has no form cannot be perceived. So it's not subject to perception, and it's not subject to the shift in perception that happens with sin or any other belief. Okay. Um, Okay, so here's the thing. In line 3, it says that distortion calls upon defenses. So this is where we get into conflict with people that don't believe the same thing that we do. Okay, because we identify with our particular point of view, and it can be, can be religious, it can be cultural, it can be national, it can be based on gender, on sexual orientation, on color of our skin. It can be based on all kinds of different things. Okay. And if we identify with those specific um, perceptual differences, we're going to say, well, I'm right. This is true for me. And if I want to call it truth, I'm going to have to defend it because someone else is going to say, well, no, what I believe is the truth. And it's the opposite of what you believe. Okay. And so now, now there's two quote unquote truths that are opposite each other. Okay. All right. So that's a misunderstanding of what truth is. Okay. Because at the level of truth, that's the level of knowledge. There can be no conflict at the level of knowledge because that's not the level of belief. There's no separation at the level of knowledge. at the level of belief, there's still separation because we can believe whatever we want to believe, and we do. So there's a variety of beliefs in the world. Um, yes, yes. Otherwise, what we're doing with knowledge is we're reducing it to mere perception. You see, line 5 here, which is just a way of looking in which certainty is lost and doubt has entered. So once we have different beliefs and different points of view of looking at the world, where's the certainty? Because there's disagreement. So we cannot be without doubt. We have to, in order to try to be sure that what we believe is true, we kind of have to we kind of seek those that believe the same thing we do, so we can kind of support each other. So that's why we have all these different kind of sets of groups um, that tend to conflict um, with each other. Okay, so line 6 is calling this an impaired condition. Okay, because once we have certainty and doubt, we can no longer be 100% certain. And when there's no 100% certainty, then there's fear. And once there's fear, the mind, yeah, the mind is limited and impaired. Y- Um, so to this impaired condition are adjustments necessary because it is not true. So so that's why, a lot of us go into this sort of seeking the truth, this spiritual learning, spiritual search, seek and find, because what we've done is we've lost, um, we've entered into an impaired condition, believing that um, our our perception is knowledge when it is not. And so now we've lost the awareness of what knowledge is. Um, and that's why we make mistakes. That's why, we look back and we say, oh gosh, what was I thinking when I did that? That was really a mistake. I so we kind of have to go through life learning from our mistakes. And part of part of the spiritual journey. Okay. And of course, the course says that that well, one of the questions I started with back in college was, "Who am I really?" I started looking at what I believed, and I realized, oh my God, do I really believe that? And it was no, I don't really believe that. So what do I really believe? And once you start exploring that, you're like, I don't even know who I am. And then, of course, the course says, how can you not know who you are? I mean, you you are alive. So that which is alive is what you are. How can you not know that? So it's like not knowing what life is, basically, because I've accepted all this confusion, or maybe I even, brought most of it with me. So anyway, okay, so that's a long kind of a long explanation here. Any comments, questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Um, it's really everything you said was really helpful and clear, except that what is knowledge or what is truth? And I think that as humans, we all make mistakes. That's just part of being human, is we make mistakes and we learn from them, and that defines who we are um, as a human. But sometimes we look to who we are as a spiritual person, and or the essence of who we are. And so I think I mentioned to you, for the first time, I started reading the Bible. And I recognize, of course, it says that sin's not sinful. It's just mistakes that we made that we can, you know, do things differently, ask for forgiveness, and move on. But in some of the Old Testament readings, sin is something that the God, the creator of all that is, the source of everything, uh, isn't very pleased with people who make mistakes, which doesn't sound like the loving God that I know. And this comes down to I'm saying, well, I've been doing Course in Miracles for a while, and I don't really think about sin. And I know I make mistakes every day, and mistakes I made, I would never call sin, and I wouldn't even go so far as to say I had to ask for forgiveness for what they were. And so I don't even know what's defined in spiritual literature of what a sin actually is. I mean, I can see doing something against the Ten Commandments. That's pretty black and white, and maybe that's even I believe that. But um, some of those kind of things I can see. Well, that's not right. It shouldn't be done, and people shouldn't do that. But most stuff, I'm not really sure what sin is, except um, for me, it's just mistakes, and mistakes just happen, so it doesn't do it. And I'm really happy being who I am, making mistakes. And but then when it comes down to the bottom line is what I read, the Creator isn't very happy about people who sin or make mistakes. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't sound like the God that I believed in before, or and so it's really challenging my because I don't really know what truth is. I think the political situation we have now, where you can have photoshopped into everything and you can have people's words twisted, and
Okay.
I don't know what truth is anymore. I don't know what knowledge is anymore.
Okay, okay. So the course talks about uh, something called bringing the truth into the illusion. Okay, the course is really showing us a way to heal our mind. Okay, it's a course in miracles, and a miracle is the healing of our mind. Okay, so the miracle is based on the idea that we bring the error, okay, to truth. That's how the error or the mistake or the belief in sin is undone. Okay. Now, when we start looking at the world and we think that we can find the truth in the world and we're looking for it in the world, we're not going to find it in the world. Okay. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring the truth into the world. We're trying to bring the truth um, into the illusion. Oh. So the first thing that we have to understand, and you might think that you don't understand knowledge, but you do because you said the loving God that I know. Okay, so there's a part of you that knows a loving God, knows what that is. Okay, because it's an experience, right? It's not a concept. It's not, you can't really explain that. So the love that is God and the love that is the essential nature of what we are, okay, is what makes everything that I see a part of God, because God is the creator of everything. But if I'm seeing division and hatred and conflict, okay, then I'm not seeing clearly. My perception is distorted. So that's what this is saying over here is that the belief, sin is a belief. Okay. And when we believe in sin, we are distorting our perception. It's a shift in perception. And we are no longer seeing clearly the presence of love, which is our essential nature. And that's why we get really confused. Okay. Because we're not just, um, because we're trying to hold on to two opposing thought systems. And sin is part of a thought system that believes in attack. And when you believe in attack, you're going to perceive division and conflict and war and battle. Okay. But the thought system of God does not believe in sin. Okay. It believes that there was never any separation from God. And so the thought system says any belief in division or attack or sin is an illusion, it's a misperception, and we want to heal that misperception by practicing forgiveness, which is a form of love. It demonstrates our essential nature. And the more we practice it, the more we begin to recognize that that is our essential nature, that it's completely and only loving. You see that? But we have to practice it so that we stop getting um, going back and forth between the illusion and reality. Because then we can't even discern, like you were saying, what is real and what is not real. But there's a real basic difference, okay? The Course says there's only two emotions, it's love or fear. So anything you see, any thought you have, is either going to be expressing love or expressing fear. And one is real, love, and the other one is not real. It's illusion, it's fear. And the whole point of healing the mind is to release the fear or to wake up from the illusion. Okay.
Thank you. You know
Okay.
what, not to extend it, but um, I believe what you just said 100%, and I try to live my life that way. And I think that's what makes me feel good about myself because I've been practicing that for a lot of years. And I've just, in reading the Old Testament, uh, it's almost dangerous reading. I mean, I hate to say that because this is supposed to be what majority of people that live in the world live their lives by.
Yes,
And
but there's stories. Remember, it's
I know
all
that, yeah,
stories. So
I,
you have to understand that stories are fictional. That's why they're
I
called
forget
stories.
I forget that because
Yeah.
uh, God doesn't like this, and He wants you to. He's going to condemn you and plague the city and kill everybody's head, rip their heads off. I forget that it's just an old men making stories and writing stuff that sounds good, but um, it's not healthy. And
Well,
because it's healthier to be thinking about love or fear or making choices of joining or separation. That's understandable. That's black and white. It's and I would think for me that sounds like truth and knowledge. But when I read something else that's supposed to be truth and knowledge, it's
supposed to be.
not. It's just like
Mhm.
yeah. It's I forget its stories. I take it literally like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so thank you for that. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Um,
and basically the Old Testament is a fearful God. So right off the bat, you have to say, well, if it's not a loving God, uh
and
it's
one that separates and everything against or
that's right.
parallel stuff. Yeah,
So that's illusion. That's a story. That's fantasy. That's
yeah.
imagination. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, uh-huh. Okay, number two. Sonia, do you want to read?
Adjustments of any kind are of the ego, for it is the ego's fixed belief that all relationships depend upon adjustments, to make of them what it would have them be. Direct relationships, in which there are no interferences, are always seen as dangerous. The ego is the self-appointed mediator of all relationships, making whatever adjustments it deems necessary and interposing them between those who would meet to keep them separate and prevent their union. It is this studied interference that makes it difficult for you to recognize your holy relationship for what it is. I mean, yeah. Um, have a few questions about this.
Sure.
So this is basically saying the special relationship versus the holy relationship. Um, in line 3, when it says direct relationships in which there are no interferences are always seen as dangerous, uh, the interference is just the ego's adjustment, right? That's what it's talking about.
Yes. So what happens is in most of our relationships are special relationships. And what makes them special is that we're not actually seeing the person as they really are. What we're doing is we're bringing our past and we're projecting it onto them so that we're making an ego out of them. So that I
Mm.
think I know you. Okay. And I make this ego about you. It's a story that I have about you. And I make this ego about myself. It's a story about who I am and I compare myself to you. But what I'm really doing is comparing the ego I made, an image of myself, and the image that I made of you. And I compare those two, and then I relate to you via those interferences, which are just projections of my own past onto you. So maybe I'm relating to you, but maybe I really see my mother in you. And I have some past issues with my mother, and I'm bringing all of that kind of baggage into the relationship. So now, whenever you look at me that way, oh my God, it brings up all this past upset that I haven't forgiven my mother for because that's the look she gave me. Okay. And it has nothing to do with you. Yeah. So that's the
Mhm.
interference that it's talking about here because the
Okay,
ego,
yeah.
the ego is the self-appointed mediator. It comes in between that relationship. So it's not a direct relationship, which is at the level of the mind where the mind is joined. Um, and there's a recognition that that we're the same. We're the same holy creation of God. Yeah.
But doesn't the ego interfere? Like it brings up your stuff. She doesn't know it brings up your stuff, and then she's wondering why is all that stuff coming up when you might not even know what it is that got brought up.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
how do you get rid of the ego so that you can have a relationship that's void of uh, separation or stuff?
Right. So you have to be aware, okay, that none of it is personal. Everybody is just bringing up their unhealed past. And when you have that awareness, you can just forgive it so that their upset or whatever it is, their attack on you is really just a call for love.
That's
So,
very, very hard.
Mm.
well,
Extremely.
it's very, very hard because we have to defend our little self that believes it can be attacked, which is our ego.
True. I
Okay.
understand.
Remember what the Course says. Let's see. In my defenselessness, my safety lies, right?
Exactly 100%.
Yeah. And most of us, our defense just goes up like that
Instantly.
instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've trying to be in a holy relationship with Barbara because I think that is really wonderful. But it isn't like just being wonderful all the time. It's about doing the hard work, like when something comes up, not attacking or not being critical or not thinking that it's me that caused something. And that and I can say it's a call for love, but it doesn't feel like a call for love. It feels like an attack. But it's really hard to differentiate in your own mind
Well,
when doing
yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly. Because, but when it feels like an attack, you know that you're in your ego mind.
But I don't. My mind doesn't say, "Wow, I just been attacked." My mind just said, "Boom!" This is like got hit across the face, and so it's you don't know that until later.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Mm.
it takes practice. It's a practice.
right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a gradual awareness so that you get a little bit closer at a time to the root of that reaction, so that at some point you back it up enough so that you're able to take a deep breath before you actually react and you catch the reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've been learning. Thanks for your question, Sonia, because that's really a big thing in my relationship with seeing Barbara. Not other people so much, but Barbara because I'm living with her. Not probably you with your
Mhm.
mom because you're living with your mom, but uh, it's I'm trying to learn how to respond to instead of reacting. And
Mhm.
usually I
Mhm.
react with, "Oh my God, why'd you do that?" Or, "Oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you what you did." And then all of a sudden, World War III starts.
Yeah, and so that's the interference of the ego there, because we make an ego of ourselves. So that really the battle is between the egos, you know. Yeah.
Exactly. And I let go. Yeah. And it's hard. Even though I know it, I've been doing this for a long time, it's hard to let go of the stinking ego.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're
And
very
I needed the ego in the beginning just to survive. So it's like,
well, that's a belief too.
oh, I did. That's another subject, I guess.
Well, if you equate it with survival, that's what makes it so hard to let it go. You see, because to let go of survival, then you're going to believe, "Oh my God, I'm going to die." Right?
But we don't survive without an ego, right? In an early age. We need an ego in order to survive or deal with what is. We don't know anything.
Do you think that Jesus Christ had an ego when he was little? I don't think so. I think he did just fine without it. I
Yeah.
mean, he was found at the temple already teaching when he was 12 or 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have a hard time, sleeping in a manger or, working as a carpenter or
I
I don't
don't
really
think
know.
so.
Yeah, yeah, it
I don't think
doesn't seem,
so.
yeah, I don't know.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, all right. Okay, number 3, Larry.
Number three, the holy do not interfere with truth. They are not afraid of it, for it is within the truth they recognize their holiness and rejoice in what they see. They look on it directly without attempting to adjust themselves to it or it to them. And so they see that it was in them, not deciding first where they would have it be. They're looking merely ask a question, and it is what they see that answers them. You make the world and then adjust to it and it to you, nor is there any difference between yourself and it in your perception, which makes them both. Uh, it was to me, it seemed like a lot of mumbo jumbo, but it's what I'm thinking about. It says, and I'm not sure, is that it's we are who we are, and whatever's inside of us is what we see outside of ourselves, and and whatever is out there is inside of us. So I think it's like it's all one, and I was having objections to the holy do not interfere with truth, and then I was saying, well, who are the holy? I had divisions of who are holy and who are not holy, and what I think it's saying is that we're all. They use the term holy,
Yeah.
but we're all that, whatever holy implies.
Yes, that's our essential nature of
Yeah,
all of creation.
yeah,
All of creation without exception.
yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so let's see. Uh yeah. So we can have an experience of truth where there is no it's an experience of love, of seeing love in everything. Everything. Everywhere you look, it's just love. Whether you're looking at someone sitting down at a park having a picnic, or you turn around and you see a tree, or you turn around and see a squirrel, it's all just love. It's all the same essential um, experience or being. Okay, it's all the same being. Um, okay, so let's see. Yeah. So first you were saying that you were looking for truth. Well, where is truth? Well, we can't find truth in time because truth is beyond time. That's why you can only have an experience of truth. You can't define it because concepts are bound to the level of belief, which is perception, which is time. Um, yes. So, so let's see. Yeah. So you make the world and then adjust to it and it to you. So the world of time, the Course and a lot of other spiritual traditions call it a dream or an illusion. Okay. Because it is a world where we see what we want to see. That is um, an an ego projection. You see? Okay. So to see what we want to see means that we are separate from the will of God because now we have made an individual self that has personal desires and personal wants. Um, and so we believe that we are this person, okay, that is unique and special and separate from someone, from that other person. And that's how we generally come to understand the world. But then we confuse that with reality. And so we think, oh, well, separation is reality. Okay. And that's upside down. So the whole course is teaching us to see truly or clear our misperception so we can see it right side up. And and see that to perceive separation is actually an illusion. It's not true. It's a misperception of our essential nature, which is reality. So it shifts reality completely like this, upside down, but it's really right side up. Okay. Okay, number 4. A simple question yet remains and needs an answer. Do you like what you have made? A world of murder and attack, through which you thread your timid way through constant dangers, alone and frightened, hoping at most that death will wait a little longer before it overtakes you and you disappear. You made this up. It is a picture of what you think you are, of how you see yourself. A murderer is frightened, and those who kill fear death. All these are but fearful thoughts of those who would adjust themselves to a world made fearful by their adjustments, and they look out in sorrow from what is sad within and see the sadness there. Okay. All right. So this is continuing with the previous paragraph. Line 7 right above, nor is there any difference between yourself and it, the world, your perception. Okay. Which made them both. Okay. So, yeah. So this paragraph is saying, look, God did not make a world of murder and attack and division. Okay, because God is a loving, a loving being and can only make like itself. All of creation is a like for like. There's no way that an orange tree is going to give you bananas. Okay, it's always a like for like, even at the level of form. Uh, so, so we are to look at the error, okay, which is all fear based. And when we look out in the world, is that what we see? Are we seeing, danger, being alone, frightened, timid? And, we look at the news. We see murder, we see attack, we see conflict. So, this is basically describing the world that we see. Okay. But it's saying in line 3 that we made this up. God didn't make it up. That's why it's a dream. It's an illusion. It's not reality. God makes what is real. Okay? And our uh our belief in separation is what makes up a world of separation, of attack and murder. And that's the power of the mind. Um, and that's the power that we give to belief. So, because we want to see it. If we didn't want to see it, we would not be seeing it. So that's basically the point of this paragraph. You know, it's a picture of what you think you are and how you see yourself. So the world is always a mirror. It's always feedback. It's always an opportunity for us to look at what our beliefs are, because a lot of us, we've never questioned what our beliefs are. We don't know what they are. We just sort of blindly act them out and are not even really willing to look at the costs of our external behavior. Um, okay.
More comments.
Uh-huh.
Um, and two, it says, do you like what you have made? And you're talking about the world of murder and attack. And within our country, there is a lot of that exists, and that a lot of us do not agree with, or do not like paying attention to. But yet, I eliminate that process and just think of the world that I'm creating within my sphere of influence, within myself, within my family, within my friends, within the areas that I do, where murder, attack, those kind of things are not condoned, and so it's like we're all one, we're all connected, us what we call humans, and we're all of the what happens with the murder and attack belief is what is the consensus of all of the collective, and I can bring love to that, and I can bring happiness and joy and light, but I'm not bringing murder to it. So it's like that's I'm not really I don't really condone it. I really don't like it. I really don't want it. I really don't approve of it. And so it's like the oneness of all of us. And this thing, it sounds like it's made that if there's murder someplace, it's because that's in my mind. I want to murder, and it's not in my mind. It's wrong. It's a mistake.
Okay, but Larry, if it's not in your mind, where is it?
It's in the collective's mind. That we're all
Okay.
one, and so
Well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're saying we're all one, but then you're saying it's not in my mind, it's in the collective mind. So there's separation there.
yeah, I
So how,
separated
so,
myself from the oneness. Isn't
well, that's a bit of a
it? Oh man,
contradiction.
yeah, I heard that in myself. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, yeah, okay, you're right. And I thought those are the bad people of the collective, and I'm the good people of the collective.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our split mind, and that's how we project what we don't want to see. That arises first within our own thoughts, and then they get projected out. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Anything, Sonia?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. So the whole point here is line 6. All these are but the fearful thoughts of those who would adjust themselves to a world made fearful by their adjustments. You see the loop there? So that's why the healing of the mind emphasizes the release of fear, because otherwise we get stuck in a loop uh, where the where our fearful thoughts, all these are but the fearful thoughts of those who would adjust themselves to a world, okay, that is fearful, but it's made by our own adjustments. So we're making our own fear sort of just project more fear. And so we get stuck in the loop of um, seeing and experiencing a world of expression of fear, which would be murder and death and, all of that attack. Um,
But couldn't we be adjusting ourselves through loving adjustments instead of,
Well,
oh,
yeah, but that would not be an adjustment. That would be a correction. So the correction is always the practice of forgiveness, right?
correct.
Yeah. And and the forgiveness is a release of fear because remember that the forgiveness definition says, I forgive my brothers for what they did not do. So there is no judgment there. I mean, a lot of times we say, well, I'm going to forgive you because of what you did to me. Okay, well, if you believe they did it to you, you're not going to be forgiving them because you're not letting go of the judgment that they did something and have power to attack you. So in the true forgiveness, we recognize that uh, attack is our own interpretation and our own judgment, just like the belief in sin is. It's in our mind, and it's a projection, so that the experience of attack is going to be our own mind projecting that because that's what we believe. So my brother's not doing anything to me. I am doing it to myself. He's just cooperating with what I want to see. Do you see that? Yeah. So I'm never a victim. Uh, and I'm never upset for the reason I think. Those are some of the lessons. So, uh, okay. Number 5. Let's see. My turn, huh? Have you not wondered what the world is really like? How it would look through happy eyes? The world you see is but a judgment on yourself. It is not there at all.
Hmm.
Yet judgment lays a sentence on it, justifies it, and makes it real. Such is the world you see, a judgment on yourself and made by you. This sickly picture of yourself is carefully preserved by the ego, whose image it is, and which it loves, and placed outside you in the world. And to this world must you adjust as long as you believe this picture is outside and has you at its mercy. This world is merciless, and were it outside you, you should indeed be fearful. Yet it was you who made it merciless. And now, if mercilessness seems to look back at you, it can be corrected. Okay, so this is really the good news here because the world is not outside of us. The world is in our mind. It's a projection of our fearful thoughts, our ego thoughts, and it's going to show us whatever those thoughts are that we hold on to, that we believe. Okay. And since the world is not really outside of us, it's a projection from those thoughts, we can go back to our beliefs and to our fearful thoughts and release those. And therefore, the world will no longer be fearful to us. And that's why it starts at the top. It says, how would it look through your happy eyes? The world you see is but an adjustment on yourself.
A judgment.
Oh, sorry, a judgment on yourself. Yeah. So it's
Oh,
a
it's the same thing,
reflection.
actually. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. If we believe we are sinful and we deserve punishment, hey, that's what's going to show up for us. Okay. So that's a judgment, right? If I judge myself as unworthy of love and unworthy of good things, well, that's what's going to show up for me in the world because that's what I'm putting out there. That's what I'm manifesting. Um, okay. It's an experience, okay? Because look at number 3. It's not there at all. That's why it's an experience, and that experience is personal. Um, that's why someone can be in fear and be terrified, and you're right next to them, and you're like, I don't see the problem, what's going on here? Okay. So you're not having the same experience, even though you're right next to each other at that same moment in time. Um, so our experience is coming from our mind. It's not coming from what happens out in the world. We think it's coming from what's happening outside in the world, but the so-called external world is an effect and not a cause. The cause is always the mind, our mind. Um, yeah, and it really talks about judgment, how it lays a sentence on it, justifies it, and then makes it real. Um, so judgment always rejects. Judgment has a way of splitting the mind because it's a positive and a negative. It separates. You're right, you're wrong, you're good, you're bad, you're deserving of punishment, you're not deserving of punishment. So, judgment is I like you, I don't like you, so I'm justified in, excluding you from my, I don't know, chat group or whatever. So that's how we justify attack is through judgment, you're unworthy you know, um, of this, so I'm justified in kicking you out or whatever, degrading you or that's how we justify attack through judgment. So, um, but the thing about judgment, it, of course, calls it a double-edged sword. Um, is that it comes back to us because then we're going to be afraid. If we really believe that our judgment can attack, we're going to be afraid of others judging us because we're going to feel attacked. So that's, why would we want to judge if it's just going to come back to us? We wouldn't, right? If we were in our right mind. So, um, okay. Anything more, Larry? Oops, you're muted, Larry.
There you go. The first line says, "What would the world look like through your happy eyes?" And you were talking about all the consequences of judgment and fear and stuff like that. But throughout my life, and the Course in Miracles stuff, I've been trying to let go of fear and let go of judgments and be in a place of peace and happiness. And actually, the world can look pretty darn good through happy eyes without judgment. It can look like it looks beautiful. It looks harmonious. I look around, it looks peaceful. It looks loving. It looks
Hmm.
it looks like it's heaven on earth. It looks like if this could be heaven, I would be happy,
Hmm.
kind of things. And sometimes when I'm in a good place, I'm saying, "Wow, am I alive? Because this is really good." And it's because I'm seeing it through eyes of happy eyes. And something I didn't realize is that I was very good at fear and I was very good at judgments. And I never realized until you just said it that I made judgments because I was fearful of being judged, and that was a
Hmm.
big thing for me. And if I judged others, it would sort of block what was coming in my viewing mind. But anyways, I like looking at the world with happy, loving eyes, and that's what uh, uh, contradicts what I was talking earlier about not paying attention to murder and stuff that's going on in the world. And yet I'm part of that. But the world that I'm seeing through my happy eyes is not what was in the previous paragraph. And so there's that contradiction for me.
Well, yes. So what we need to realize is that we are trying to hold on to two thought systems, one of love and one of fear. Now, they're both not real, okay? But because we keep switching back and forth, we get confused and can no longer differentiate very well where the reality is,
Yeah,
okay?
which is
So,
the problem. Yeah.
yes, so the thing that to work on is recognizing that only the loving expressions are real. Okay. The other ones are distortions or what's the word that they're using here is adjustments that have distorted the truth. Okay. And therefore that is not real. It's not whole. It's incomplete. It's a judgment, it's an opinion, it's a personal interpretation, okay? But it's not the whole truth. It's not the big picture. And the thing about the truth is, it has to be whole and complete, or even just a little bit of deception, and we've then it's no longer true anymore, you know. So it has to be absolute and apply to everyone universally, or we're perceiving separation. Do you see that? Because the
Yeah.
love of God is completely unconditional.
So I'm living in a world where happy eyes is being heavenly. And that's where I decide to keep my mind. But uh, there is stuff going on that I don't I don't live in and see, but it's part of me. It's sort of like,
Well, it's only part of me because there's a part of me that is still believing in it.
but I don't.
Well, consciously, we don't see that we're believing in it. And that's part of how we keep the separation because we're not looking at our unconscious mind. But if we're having that experience and we're seeing that in the world and it's all one mind, okay, then I have to be holding some belief in that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't, you know what? Otherwise, whatever I'm seeing out in the world that's conflict and attack, I would not be seeing it as conflict and attack. I would be seeing it through the Holy Spirit, and I would be seeing a call for love.
Sometimes I see the conflict that I see politically and the previous paragraph is just the way that spirit works to bring about adjustments, to bring about change.
Yeah, but so, well, okay, so the Holy Spirit is a part of the mind that is our link to knowledge, right?
Correct. Correct.
So sometimes we call it higher mind. So the process is to bring what we're seeing out in the world that we look at and we say, oh, there's a lot of conflict, there's violence there, there's separation there, okay? And we want to bring that to the Holy Spirit so that we can look at it with the Holy Spirit, which is the light of truth. And we ask, I want to see this differently. Okay, I don't want to see this in the world. I don't want to see attack in the world. Okay. So I give it to the Holy Spirit and say, I want to see this differently. I want to see the truth. So, uh, so the more I practice that intention, okay, uh, the more that my perception begins to clear or or shift um, for love, because my intention is to decide for love or for God in everything that I do and everything that I look at. Okay. So whatever I see that is fearful, I want to first recognize that there's fear there. Because if I can't recognize that there's fear there, there's no way I can release the fear or even give it to the Holy Spirit. Well, actually, we make the fear, right?
What if we're not fearful? Like I'm not fearful of what's going on where people are getting murdered. I'm not fearful about it. I'm disgusted by it. I'm sad by it, but I'm not
Okay,
fearful.
well, hold on. Disgust and sadness are all emotions that emanate from fear.
Fear is the main. Okay, yep, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So see how well it hides? So that,
Yes, hide. Yes.
yeah, it does. So the first step is always to recognize that this is fear. And then there's that chapter 4. What was that page where it talks about releasing fear? Um, I'll have to find that and where it says, oh no, it's chapter 2, page 30. Okay. Corrective steps to undoing the error. It's paragraph 7. Know first that this is fear. Fear arises from a lack of love, and the only remedy for a lack of love is perfect love. Perfect love is the atonement. Okay, in the miracle world, for the miracle worker, that's our only That's the only requirement is to accept the atonement. Perfect love is the atonement. No, there's no separation. Yeah.
Thank you. So many things I forget.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's why we study it. And I mean, we
Me
keep,
too.
yeah, studying it for years. Okay, number 6. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sonia.
Who in a holy relationship can long remain unholy? The world, the holy sea, is one with them, just as the world the ego looks upon is like itself. The world, the holy sea, is beautiful because they see their innocence in it. They did not tell it what it was. They did not make adjustments to fit their orders. They gently questioned it and whispered, "What are you?" And he who watches over all perception answered, "Take not the judgment of the world as answer to the question, What am I? The world believes in sin, but the belief that made it as you see it is not outside you."
Okay, so what's coming up, Sonia?
Um, well, to me, this is basically saying what the forgiven world looks like and what it is. But so I have done this for so long and I'm still just barely like catching on to what I'm doing. But whenever I try to ask like for guidance, like for the Holy Spirit, um, I try to adjust and fit it to my order of what I want. And it's so sneaky because like I think that I'm open-minded and being like, I need help, like what is the answer? Like show me, like guide me. But there's still like even if there's like a sliver of like wanting some certain outcome to be like a certain way, I will never get the answer. And that's what frustrates me. So that just reminded me of what it's saying here that we we order and we make adjustments and we don't let the question just be. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yes. So, so this is the open mind here, right? Which is line 5. They gently questioned it and whispered, "What are you?" So when I look at the world, I don't assume that I know what I'm seeing. It's kind of like the first few lessons of the year, where they say, this cup, you know, let's see, has no meaning in and of itself. It only has the meaning that I've given it. So I don't really know what I'm seeing because I have already projected all my meaning onto it, and I think I know. And so that is a closed mind. That's not an open mind. So the Holy Spirit always answers, but the closed mind cannot receive the answer. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it already thinks um, because it because it's not open to receiving the answer because it wants it in a particular way. That's what I think what Sonia was trying to say. Um, and it's interesting because, initially when I learned muscle testing, it was because I was testing for allergies. And one of the things I learned with muscle testing is to get yourself out of the way. Because if you don't get yourself out of the way, uh, the testing itself will give you incorrect answers because we're already biased in perceiving what we want to perceive that we can just fool ourselves. So so the um so the open mind without any kind of investment in the outcome is what allows for the answer to be received by the mind. Um, and so when we look at the world and we make a judgment of what's happening in the world, what we're doing is saying, oh, I already know what it is. And here it's saying, well, we don't want to assume we know what it is. We want to ask the Holy Spirit to tell us. That's line 5. They gently question it and whisper, what are you? Okay. And he who watches over all perception answers, and those are capitalized, he and who. So that's Holy Spirit. So, yeah. Number 7, take not the judgment of the world as an answer to the question. Don't assume that what the world tells us that we are is what we are. Okay? Open the mind to say, okay, I don't really know. So, uh, so what am I, Holy Spirit? You know, because remember that the world's going to reflect back what we think we are or what we are. Um, uh, so we want to leave the mind open to the truth so that we can receive the answer from the Holy Spirit, who is the link to truth.
I like that number. I think it's number 3. Lost my place. It says he came without blah blah blah. I lost where it's at.
That's up here. The world, the
About
holy
the holy.
is beautiful.
Oh, it's yes. The world, the holy sees is beautiful because they see their innocence, and
Yes.
I think that we're and I do the same thing. I want to have answers, and I don't see it because I'm seeing judgments or something. And if I see people's innocence, all of a sudden the answers seem clearer to me. Even when I look at stuff that disgusts me or makes me feel terrible, when I can see the innocence of those individuals, even though I don't understand it, it changes my perception of how I see things. And so it's for me, it's a quality to see the innocence in people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually the miracle, Larry, that shift from
Yeah.
seeing, from seeing and, guilt to innocence. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Number 7. Go ahead, Larry. Go ahead and read 7.
Number 7, seek not to make the God, seek not to make the Son of God adjust to his insanity. There is a stranger in him who wandered carelessly into the home of truth and who will wander off. He came without a purpose, but he will not remain before the shining light the Holy Spirit offered, and you accept it. For there is a stranger is made homeless, and you are welcome. Ask not this transient, ask not this transient stranger, what am what am I? He is the only thing in the universe that does not know. Yet it is he you ask, and it is to his answer that you would adjust. This one wild thought, fierce in its arrogance, and yet so tiny and so meaningless, it slips unnoticed through the universe of truth, becomes your guide. To it, you turn to ask the meaning of the universe and of the one blind thing in all the seeing universe of truth. You ask, how shall I look upon the Son of God?
Hmm.
Um, uh, every paragraph I read, and I've done this from the first time I've ever opened up the Course of Miracles books, without having somebody else to talk about it, I would probably throw it over the bridge like Sharon did too. It seems like so much, but as I try to think of what it's trying to say, and I don't really know, it sounds like I could be the stranger who is wandering carelessly through what is or not, and maybe I'm even there now, and that there is a shining light that brings me back, and that I can see that there's something there for me, and that uh, I maybe didn't know where I was or what I am, but I can ask myself what I am or who I am, and I can seek and I can find. So this is I get to adjust my thinking. I adjust what I think is truth or not. I get a chance to let go of arrogance or judging or fearfulness, and what I learn meaningfully slips through. The truth is happens all the time, and so this is a hard one. And how do I look upon the Son of God? And that's the constant question I have. And it's easier when I can just know that this world is an illusion. I can see my happiness. I can let go of fearfulness and judging, and I can see the innocence in others, and sort of like sticking my head up my butt and not paying attention to the stuff. But if the world's just an illusion and it's not really there, it's probably a good stretch, a good thing to do. So I guess I don't know what I'm saying. It's confusing. It's confusing to me.
Okay. Okay, Larry, let's just take it one line at a time, okay? So this whole chapter section is talking about the adjustment to sin, okay? And basically, uh, sin is an idea that is made up, okay? It's a made up idea, all right? And anything that is made up is not real. So, so a world that is reflecting sin, okay, attack, division, punishment, it's unreality. And another word for unreality is insanity. Okay, if my mind is uh, off in a fantasy world that I believe is real, but it's not real, they're going to diagnose me with insanity. Okay. So seek not to make the Son of God adjust to his insanity. Okay. And the insanity is really the belief in separation. Okay. So most of us, come into the world and irregardless of, most of the time we look at it and we're just completely confused. Okay, or we just don't understand, what the heck is going on because it doesn't make any sense, okay? But we try to fit in. We like, well, hey, this mass of people could not all be wrong, right? So they must be right, even if it doesn't make any sense to me, it's nonsense. So we tend to give the majority point of view. We tend to say, well, that's the norm. So it must be true. Okay. But it's not. Okay. It's not true. But we just, at least for me, I looked around, I thought, well, God, could all these people be wrong? No, they couldn't be wrong. Okay, I'm going to go along with it. But it didn't make any sense to me. And so I adjusted. I adjusted to the insanity. I tried to fit in. I tried to understand. I tried to make sense of it. And that's what we call past learning. That's basically what academic learning is. We're trying to integrate all this past learning, and it doesn't make any sense. There's all these contradictions. The same thing with religion. There's all these contradictions. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. Oh, okay. I guess I just have to accept mystery, because it doesn't make any sense. And so, line two is there's a stranger in him who wandered carelessly into the home of truth. Okay. And remember at the beginning of the course, it says that the ego is a tiny mad idea that entered into heaven. Okay. And this is basically saying the same thing, that there is a stranger, which is the ego, tiny mad idea, that wandered carelessly into the home of truth, which is heaven. Okay. But it says, and who will wander off? There's another part in the course where it says that the the tiny mad idea is no longer in the mind of the maker. So it has already wandered off, and we're really just at the end of time looking back on what happened. So that this world is over and done with a long time ago. That's what it says. This world of perception and illusion. Because remember that at the instant that the tiny mad idea arose, God gave that answer, and that was the Holy Spirit and the plan of atonement. Okay. And in that same instant, the mind was healed, the ego was gone. So, in that tiny instant is this whole idea of time, which is over and done with because it was just that tiny instant. But for those of us that keep holding on to the idea of separation, sin, guilt, and fear, okay, it's as if we were still in time because we're still dreaming. We haven't, the mind hasn't woken up to the truth. Uh, so, uh, so, so the mind is asleep. That's the metaphor. Um, okay, so there's a stranger is made homeless, and you, okay, for there, let's see, hold on. So the stranger is basically the ego thought system. Okay, he came without a purpose, but he will not remain before the shining light the Holy Spirit offered, because that was the answer that God gave to the insanity of the ego. And you accept it. So when Christ resurrected from the dead, remember we were talking about the resurrection, okay? He that was the Son of God, and that was we are part of that identity, Son of God. And so we accepted it. We accepted the truth and we accepted the resurrection, and we were actually part of that at the level of the mind. So that's why it's saying past tense. We accepted it because salvation has already been accomplished. Okay. For there, the stranger is made homeless and you are welcome. So the ego is the one that is made homeless. We no longer allow the ego thought system to have a place in our mind. Um, as not this transient stranger, who am I? So to ask the question, who am I? Who am I asking? Okay. Well, if I'm, remember that the questioner is the ego thought system itself because it doesn't know who it is. Because the belief is that it's separated from knowledge, so it cannot know knowledge and know what it is. So to go to the ego and ask, what am I? Okay, the ego's just gonna say, well, you're a body. You separated from God and now you're in time. Okay. And that's the answer that the ego is going to give us. Okay, he is the only thing in all the universe that does not know. Because that's not true. That's not what we are. We're not the body. We're not in time. We are as God created us, and we're still at home in the mind of God, which is eternal. So, okay, yet it is He you ask. So we keep asking, what am I, to our own self image of a separated self in time, who cannot answer the question. Because it doesn't know anymore. All of the adjustments to sin have blocked the awareness of the truth. Uh, so this one wild thought, fierce in its arrogance, and yet so tiny, tiny mad idea, so meaningless, it slips unnoticed through the universe of truth. God has no idea of an ego, okay? But we have made the ego our guide. So to it you turn to ask the meaning of the universe. It doesn't know. The ego doesn't know. And of the one blind thing in all the seeing universe of truth, you ask, how shall I look upon the Son of God? Yeah, the ego cannot tell us what we are because the belief itself says it is separate from knowledge. And it is only in knowledge, it's only knowledge that can answer that question. Okay, so we have to go to the Holy Spirit um, to know the truth. Okay. All right. Number 8. Sonia?
Does one ask judgment of what is totally bereft of judgment? And if you have, would you believe the answer and adjust to it as if it were the truth? The world you look on is the answer that it gave you, and you have given it power to adjust the world to make its answer true. You asked this puff of madness for the meaning of your unholy relationship and adjusted it according to its insane answer. How happy did it make you? Did you meet your brother with joy to bless the Son of God and give him thanks for all the happiness that he held out to you? Did you recognize your brother as the eternal gift of God to you? Did you see the holiness that shone in both you and your brother to bless the other? That is the purpose of your holy relationship. Ask not the means of its attainment, of the one thing that still would have it be unholy. Give it no power to adjust the means and end.
Best. One thing that's still. Okay. Anything, Sonia?
I was just looking at line 4. You ask this puff of madness for the meaning of your unholy relationship and adjusted it according to its insane answer. That's kind of like trying to solve the problem from what was that? Who's was it a course line? It was like you can't solve the problem from the same level that created it or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And remember that up in the previous paragraph that we talked about how the ego tries to be the intermediary in your relationship. Um, and so if we say, well, okay, so we're like, oh man, I have this relationship and it's got all this conflict and attack and judgment and then I go to my ego who is showing me all this attack and judgment to tell me how to solve this problem, right? So it's like going to the source of the problem that makes the problem for the answer to solving the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I think, the same thing that you were saying is that, uh, is that because it's a problem, uh, you're not going to find the answer in the problem because it's a problem. So you have to go uh, to the Holy Spirit for the correction to the problem. And the Holy Spirit's in our mind too. So you could say that we go to the same level, which is the causal level. But we're asking the guidance from the Holy Spirit rather than from our own past learning to solve the problem. So we do have to ask for help beyond our own little ego. Um, yeah. To be able to shift the perception, because otherwise the ego cannot give us a different perception. It cannot give us, the correction to the perception that's making the problem because that's all it knows. It only knows the problem. It doesn't know the answer.
Well, it seems like in 6, 7, and 8, that is the answer. 6 is it's wherever it's.
Oh, huh. Did you meet
like,
your brother with joy?
yeah,
Those questions.
yeah, it's like seeing the innocence in people, see the joy in them, affirm the goodness in them, and that seems like the way to deal with the problem instead of,
Yes.
the Holy Spirit, how do I change this? Well, just see the innocence in the person that's causing the problem, or see the good in them and look for the good even if you can't find it.
Yeah, and that's Holy Spirit guidance, which is Holy Spirit vision.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, number 9. Let's see. Go ahead, Larry.
Okay, just a second, I lost it. I'm fooling around with stuff. 9.
Mm-hmm.
Prisoners bound with heavy chains for years, starved and emancipated, weak and exhausted, and with eyes so long cast down in darkness, they remember not the light. Do not leap up in joy the instant they are made free. It takes a while for them to understand what freedom is. You groped but feebly in the dust and found your brother's hand, uncertain whether to let it go or to take hold on life so long forgotten. Strengthen your hold and raise your eyes unto your strong companion, in whom the meaning of freedom lies. He seemed to be crucified beside you, and yet his holiness remain untouched and perfect, and with him beside you, you shall this day enter with him to paradise and know the peace of God.
Mm.
Pretty profound. Uh,
Yes.
I've heard stories of people in jail or prisoners for a long time, and they didn't want to be released because that's all they knew and all they were comfortable with, and they learned to adjust to it and like it. And sometimes when we're down and out, and all there is uh, someone to hold our hand, like we're off in a battle someplace or someplace that we weren't safe with. If there was someone that was in the same spot as us that we could be in it together, all of a sudden there was a strength. And I think what it's saying is that's sort of like what a holy relationship is that no matter what situation we're in life or how we think about what's going on in life, is that we're here to support the other person and the other person is to support us. And and we can get through that together. And that is what the way that we move forward. And that's the definition of holiness. And the perfection is of how we exist. It isn't, what we do; it's how we do it. And
Yes.
that's what I take out of it. Seems pretty profound to
Yeah.
me.
Yes, and how we do it is really the let's see, is really um the demonstration of let's see, what do I want to say? Well, let me just give you this example. Uh, yeah, about a month ago, just before probably Christmas holidays, I was in the grocery store and there were a lot of people, and I had the cart and I went down the first aisle, and I stopped and I waited because there was a couple there with their cart, but the cart was kind of turned sideways, and so the man was behind the cart, but his partner was on the other side of the cart, and they were having conversation, but she was completely blocking the whole aisle. So I couldn't go through. So I just waited for a little while. I slowed down and I stopped and I kind of smiled, and he noticed me, but she kind of was to the side, so she didn't notice me. She was talking, right? But then he said to her, and it was the way that he said it, okay? It was how he said it. It was it was it was something like, love, move out of the way. Or he said, love, move out of the way so you can let others through. But he said it in this incredibly loving tone. I had never heard anyone in public talk to their partner that way. It brought this really big smile to my face, and she moved over and I went through, and I smiled. but it was just it was amazing. The gentleness and the kindness and just in the way that he corrected her in public. There was absolutely no indication of get out of the way. You're doing something wrong. Look at you, you're blocking. Move. There was no guilt projected at all. It was it was a beautiful thing to see, I have to say. So it just reminded me of what you were saying that
Examples of holy relationship.
yes, 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 it was. So yeah, so I really appreciated that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Sonia.
Okay. Okay, well let's see. Oh no, we still have okay, there's two more. All right, let me read number 10. Such is my will for you and your brother, and for each of you, for one another and for himself. Here there is only holiness and joining without limit. For what is heaven but union, direct and perfect, and without the veil of fear upon it? Here are we one, looking with perfect gentleness upon each other and on ourselves. Here are all thoughts of any separation between us become impossible. You, who were a prisoner in separation, are now made free in paradise. And here would I unite with you, my friend, my brother, and myself. Okay. And that's a capital S. Um, so I think, the holy relationship is that recognition, right? That of the oneness, but it's not just let's see. It's not just with you, my friend, my brother, but it's also with myself, with my higher self. So there's really a recognition that where there is no separation. Uh, and the love that we give to others is really the love that we're giving to ourselves. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. Um, and who doesn't want to um, receive love? Well, we all want to receive love. And all we have to do is give it. And then we receive it automatically. Yeah. Um, yeah, line 4. Here are we one, looking with perfect gentleness upon each other and ourselves. And that's what I saw there between the husband and the wife. And by the way, they it was an interracial marriage. So there was a lot of there wasn't because there was none of the barriers that you would think of in terms of division mattered at all in that little simple gesture of correcting with love. So it's how you do it because we can think that we are helping someone when they're making a mistake, and we can think that we're correcting them, but we're correcting them with attack, when we are projecting that they're doing something wrong in that correction. Um, so of course they're not going to like it. Um, but yeah, so that was really I don't know how to put it in words, but 11. Sonia.
Your gift unto your brother has given me the certainty our union will be soon. Share, then, this faith with me, and know that it is justified. There is no fear in perfect love because it knows no sin, and it must look on others as on itself. Looking with charity within, what can it fear without? The innocent see safety and the pure in heart seek God within his Son, and look unto the Son to lead them to the Father. And where else would they go but where they will to be? You and your brother now will lead the other to the Father as surely as God created his Son holy, and kept him so. In your brother is the light of God's eternal promise of your immortality. See him as sinless, and there can be no fear in you.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you remember that book by Gary Renard, Your Immortal Reality? Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's line 8. Yeah, so line 9, what about line 9, Sonia?
See him as sinless, and there can be no fear in you. What
Mm-hmm.
about?
Yes, so the reason why we see a fearful world is because we see a sinful world. And if we didn't judge it, there would there would be no sin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we could leave the mind open and ask the Holy Spirit, what am I seeing? Show me the truth, right? Show me a reflection of the truth. Because sin is an adjustment. So it brings up fear because there's no certainty there. We've lost the sense of knowledge that is certain and universally true. Um, and remember that healing is a release of fear. So if there's no fear in the mind, then it would radiate health because it's a healed mind. So it would have to demonstrate and witness. The body would have to witness to that, to the healed mind with health. That's why the Course says that inner peace is health, and why we want to cultivate peace rather than conflict and attack and judgment of sin, which is, condemnation. Yeah, because who doesn't want to live healthy? A healthy and I mean, happiness is really uh it's not it's very, very hard to be happy when you are sick. So we want to choose peace, um, rather than the grievance and the attack, because we want to have an experience of healing and health. That's ultimately part of living a happy life. Yeah. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right. Thank you. So that's section 3, it's innocent adjustment. So we'll go to the next section, which is entering the ark. So thank you for joining. So we'll
Thanks,
see you
thanks,
next time.
Eloisa.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
your
Bye.
wisdom. See you later,
Thank
son.
you. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.